Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Devin Summers, and today we sit down with Dan Cathy.
I'm Dan Cathy with Chick-fil-A.
We learned all about the inner workings of one of today's favorite and most successful fast food chains.
Being able to make sure that hot Chick-fil-A sandwich has got two crucial pickles.
I'm joined by Caroline Lee, a Master's of Accountancy student in her final semester at UGA.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here, and it was a lot of fun to sit down with Dan Cathy today and learn more about him and his vision for Chick-fil-A. He has a lot of great wisdom to offer.
So let's get right into it.
From the University of Georgia's Terry College of Business with the Institute for Leadership Advancement, you are listening to the Terry Student Podcast, the podcast dedicated to Terry students through the stories, successes, and lessons of business professionals, Terry alumni, faculty, and students.
Just to get started, introduce yourself to the microphone, name and position.
Hello, microphone. My name's Dan. What's your name? No, I'm Dan Cathy with Chick-fil-A, and it's an honor to be here on the UGA campus, and especially to talk to the Terry Business School students. A great honor to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. It's a great honor. As you know, one of the reasons why you're here today is to dedicate the Institute for Leadership Advancement's new suite named after your father as the S. Truett Cathy Leadership Suite. So just to start it off, what does it mean to uphold his legacy of leadership?
Well, it's a big responsibility. It's quite common that in business or in the public sector as well, that we all have a responsibility to uphold the truths, timeless truths and values that we represent, whether as a nation or as private citizens for the heritage that we have. I love the definition of children that was given many years ago. It said, children are messengers we send to a time we will not see. And so we're all carriers of a message of timeless principles. And it's a great joy. I had the chance of working with my dad for all my life, really, up until 3 years ago that he passed away. But it's a great responsibility. The things that really were centered, that he centered around his life, his faith in God, his commitment to his family, his commitment to the community and service in the marketplace and in the restaurant business specifically, is a terrific pattern for all of us to follow. And we want to be counted a good steward of what's entrusted to us. So it's an honor to be here today and to know that we can share the opportunity to extend his legacy and particularly extend the values and principles that he lived for.
Yeah.
Very cool. And kind of shifting into the restaurants and Chick-fil-A, and it's so well known for its great customer service and strong culture. And so one question I had with so many stores and locations and employees, how do you make sure that a Chick-fil-A in Athens is the same as a Chick-fil-A in Atlanta or Chick-fil-A in New York?
That's a great question, and that's the challenge that all great brands have, because brands save us time as consumers. Brands are about a promise that we'll deliver, be who we say we are. And you're exactly right. Being able to make sure that hot Chick-fil-A sandwich has got two crucial pickles in Athens, Georgia, and on the campus of Berkeley in California, and NYU in New York, and every place in between, it really is a challenge. So quality is all about systems and processes that we can build. When we have something that doesn't deliver on what we think it should, then we ought to go back and examine the process. So over the years, some 71 years now that we've been in business, we've honed up some well-oiled, well-manicured systems and processes that are ensured to have a great experience for the customer. It really starts with a vision. What is the vision that you want the customer to have? What's the experience that you want to have? You have to really carefully construct that, almost like an orchestra conductor that would compose a beautiful piece of music. You've got to hear it in your head first. It's got to be really, really clear. And then you begin to select the musicians that can deliver on that music. And then you carefully rehearse. And then when the curtain goes up, voila, it's a great experience. And so we've been through that process many times. And it's a hallmark for our business that we have the consistency that we do, not only in food quality, but also even in the service that says, it's my pleasure.
Like you were just saying, Chick-fil-A is a lot more than just the food. And on the top of on one of your pages on your website, the Who We Are page, something that should tell you that what Chick-fil-A is and who the people that serve Chick-fil-A is. I found this quote really, really interesting. It was by your father, Truett Cathy, and it reads, "We should be more than just selling chicken. We should be a part of our customers' lives and the communities in which they serve." So why is this the first thing that people see when they go on to figure out who Chick-fil-A is?
Well, I think they see that there's more than just, as you say, just selling a chicken sandwich. That it's really all about a relationship that we can have with our customers. We desire to go the second mile. The first mile is about a transaction, but the second mile results in a relationship that we can have. We're engaged today as almost like first responders in some of the hurricane-ravaged areas in Houston, South Florida, and Puerto Rico. We don't have restaurants in Puerto Rico, but we're mobilizing right now to serve over 2 million meals that will be assembled in Orlando that will be shipped to the survivors of the hurricanes, even in Puerto Rico. We're very active in South Florida. We're very active in Houston, Texas right now, responding to the kind of traumatic emergencies that our nation has faced here of late. But it's also about serving the needs in the communities across the country. And our hallmark there that makes that happen is the incredible Chick-fil-A restaurant operator that runs those locations. Someone has said that the closer you can get top caliber management with the customer, the better the business is going to be run. And so we have some fantastic Chick-fil-A restaurant operators who represent our brand. They're very responsive to issues and crisis at a local level that may be taking place, where we can be there to support the community. So it's certainly more than profits, and it really also relates to our corporate purpose, which is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that's entrusted to us, and to have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. So that gives a lot of meaning, other than just selling how many sandwiches that we can sell and how many cars you can get going through that drive-through, is knowing that God can even use a simple chicken sandwich to be a vehicle to encourage people to live positive lives and make good choices and decisions.
That's really encouraging, and I think that a lot of people would agree that you and a lot of others are great examples of leaders. And I'm curious, as someone who grew up working in the restaurants and has been around the company for a while, how do you think that young professionals just starting out can show leadership in a business or a company without having a technical leadership title?
Yes. Well, it's a great question, and don't be intimidated that you may not have a real fancy technical title. That leadership is all about influence. Influence in small ways, influence that builds up to have an opportunity in big things. Jesus said to be faithful in little and watch what happens. And it's the be faithfulness on little choices, personal choices and decisions that how we're going to make, about how we're going to spend the money that we may have. Every financial decision really gets down to almost a spiritual decision of how careful do we want to be. Doesn't mean that we have to be a miser, but we have to make wise decisions. I was in a meeting yesterday working with a bunch of creatives, and we were talking about this new beautiful amenity that we're adding to a big production studio at Pinewood Studios in South Atlanta. And the word budget, does it fit? The budget never came up. And I commended them, the creatives, because if budget has to win the day, then it sucks a lot of the excitement out of it. So my challenge to young professionals is, pursue your dreams, go after big, passionate dreams. I'm living in a time in my life right now where I'm going after big stuff that's going to affect the lives of a lot of people. And I find that someone said, little dreams stir no man's heart. And as young students, the big, bold, hairy, audacious goals that come into their mind, don't dismiss those. You may not have the resources to do it now, but that's not the issue. There's a far more abundance of resources than there are great ideas. So it's a law of supply and demand. The demand is for great ideas that are going to transform society. And if you have those as a student, hone those up. Let the friction rub up as you begin to share those ideas with others. Your ability to be able to get that vision in a clarified form that can excite the imagination of other people is a central skill, whether you got a lot of technical, letters behind your name or not.
And the more you talk about all this, the more I realize how close this is tied to like the WinShape Foundation's missions and purpose. And just reading through the website of the WinShape Foundation, which it includes summer camps and marriage retreats, a foster home, a college program, among a bunch of other services. Can you talk about that for a little bit? And how does that foundation live out the purpose and vision of your parents at Chick-fil-A?
Well, the WinShape Foundation was founded some 34 years ago. Right after we moved into our corporate office is how I can remember the date of it. And the name itself really says the mission and the purpose. Win Shape. We're shaping people to be winners. We want to shape young kids that are going through our camp program. We had 33,000 kids that went through our summer camp program this summer in 2017. 34,000 little boys, little girls that are going to be making decisions about their choices when they become teenagers. We're able to present some very positive role models for them that are college students most typically, to be respectful, to be honorable, to be cool by making wise choices about how they live. The camp program, or WinShape, expands also into the college scholarship programs that we provide college scholarships for young adults to pursue their ambitions across the country. Also, as a retreat center that's located at Berry College here in Georgia, northwest Georgia, near Rome. And then there we also have a very extensive marriage program trying to encourage couples to stay committed to their marriage. Even premarital counseling that we give. We have a ropes course that's there. One of our courses is ropes and romance, and that's trying to help people to be able to think about marriage being forever, and that love is a choice. It's not just the romantic feelings that we have toward another person, but it's a decision that we're going to be committed to them for the rest of their life. And what does that mean? How we have to be patient with each other. So anyway, our WinShape marriage program, we have a ropes course there, of course, as well. We also operate foster homes. We have about 14 foster homes that we operate, and have expanded that program now to support other families who may not be in a full-time dedicated foster situation but want to act as foster parents for deserving young people. We've expanded that program nationwide to our Chick-fil-A restaurant operators as well. So it's thank goodness, as we keep selling lots of chicken, we have enough resources to not only keep growing the business, but also to redirect some portion of that back into some of these ministry programs.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And with a constantly changing environment in the United States and really globally, how do you adapt to those changes while maintaining Chick-fil-A and your personal identity?
Probably the strongest response I've heard I could give to that is a statement made by a guy named Andy Stanley. He pastors a small little country church in North Atlanta. And he says this, and I love this expression, I use it very frequently, but he says that we need to marry the mission and date the methods. So when we think about global change, retail change, changes going on, politically, and changes in the dramatic changes going on today in the retail environment with Amazon and other things that are happening. As business people, we can get lost in all this change and we can lose our way. So it's very important that we marry our mission. It's very important that we have a clearly articulated purpose and mission for the organization that everybody can rally behind. It needs to be timeless. It doesn't need to be based on the whims of current popular trends, but it's timeless. So marry the mission and be very committed to it. Secondly, only date the methods. Don't get confused that the methods that you marry the methods, because if you do, you can soon find yourself obsolete. One of the featured radio programs this week was a whole discussion about the bemoaning Chick-fil-A for dropping our chicken salad, from our menu here at the end of this month, and only hours left to get you a delicious Chick-fil-A chicken salad. That was not the mission of Chick-fil-A, but in many people's minds, it was the mission of Chick-fil-A, was to keep that chicken salad, as well as carrot and raisin salad, as well as lemon pies, and some other things that we've had to modify our menu. So it reminds us that business is constantly changing, And if we don't constantly adapt to change in a timely way, we can become obsolete, and we'll be the new whipping boy, along with the Kodaks and the Kmarts and the Blackberries and all the others that have gone on before us who did not change fast enough.
Very cool. And lastly, just a fun question. What is your go-to meal when you're eating at Chick-fil-A?
My goodness. It depends on what season that it might be. Currently, I have a lot of fun with our frosted coffee. That's a little treat. Depends on how much I run. But I think I had one yesterday, and I got 4 miles of running in last night. So I kind of equate my risk and reward, based on my running and cycling behavior. But I love the frosted coffee. I like to get it in the styrofoam cup because it lasts a little longer that way. And if you smile at it really nice, they may put a little extra whipped cream and a cherry on it.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's all we have. So enjoy your day in Athens, and thank you for making time to speak to us.
Thank you. And as we say at Chick-fil-A, it's my pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed our interview with Dan Cathy. I thought it was really interesting how he focused away from budgets and money and started really getting into what he loved to do, what the mission and purpose of Chick-fil-A was, which to a Terry student was really interesting because we do focus a lot on money. How much money is this job making? How much are we getting paid? What's my salary going to be? And he showed that if you just follow your dreams, if you chase what you love, then you'll get there and you'll make the money you want to make without sacrificing what you love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I would completely agree. And I think, too, it was so cool to see that he is such a person of influence and power and has a lot of say within Chick-fil-A and just in the community. But at the same time, he was so down to earth, so approachable, had so much wisdom, and there was just a confidence that was very evident in the way that he talked, not because of his position, but just because of who he is.
Thank you for listening to the first podcast of the semester. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we did. Tune in next time for a breakdown of other podcasts Terry students should be listening to. See you then.